So I really haven't had a chance to formally talk about the bike. It's just been pictures and some videos here and there. Figured I'd introduce the bike. I call it the Bastard. It's an ST chopper frame, stretched 3 inches in the front. I stretched it 9 inches in the back, actually using some high boosted swing arm extensions. With that being said, I'm sure some Harley purists are probably rolling in their grave or crying right now, but I basically built this bike with nothing but spare parts I had on the shelf. Things that were either donated to me by friends or friends helping with work, stuff like that. So I really don't have a whole lot of money into it. I think maybe $3,500 into the whole thing. So basically, I just use common sense, practicality, and safety in my mind to build it because I do plan on riding it, and just want to do something different than anybody else has ever done. So I'll kind of do like a walk around and show off some of the things I did. It's still in progress, obviously. Been working on it for about a year, but here we go. So, like I said, it's a soft T, 3-inch stretch, chopper frame, and those nitrous bottles are actually my fuel tanks. I wanted to be out of the norm, get rid of the gas tank on the backbone. I'm sure you're looking at all the awesome artwork that a buddy of mine, Aaron Lee, has done. Amazing tattoo artist, good friend. He just went crazy. And this is all just hanging around bullshitting him, basically doodling on this thing. Can't even call it doodling because he's that professional. He's good at what he does. But so got rid of the gas tank. Actually, the backbone is just a carbon fiber wrap. Nothing special. These are actually supply and return lines that come up into the fairing to the ice and water box. You're probably thinking, what the hell is that for? Well, I actually have an air-to-water intercooler underneath the seat. Battery is no longer there. It's in the front and the chin spoiler. New style lithium battery. I don't know why people don't use them. They weigh nothing. Huge bonus. These bikes are already heavy. Why do I have the air-to-water intercooler? So I bought a $200 AMR 500 Roots style supercharger, which I'm actually running belt to belt on this open primary, which was also a hand-me-down from a good buddy of mine. And normally you think you want to go metal to rubber on your pulleys and stuff, but think about a drag race track. Why are these tires gripping so good? Because you're rubber to rubber. It gets sticky. Yeah, probably have to pay attention to whether it's staying clean, whatnot, but in all honesty, with an open primary, you're worried about rocks and stuff flinging in there, chewing up the teeth. It's not really a normal streetable thing, but I will ride it around town. Plan on taking it to some shows. I'd like to see what it's going to do on the drag strip. When I did ride it, it made 7 PSI. I'm actually still tuning it. I think I have an air bleed issue because it's got a problem with transferring from the intermediate jet to the main. It'll stumble when I'm trying to cruise. But getting off the throttle, doesn't pop, do anything. When you're on the throttle, it's like a rocket ship. Like when I started talking about this thing, I got 9-inch high boosted swing arm extensions. Like I said, there's actually another bottle that goes on this side, but that's still being worked on. As far as paint, this rear fender is actually made from 2 V-Rod fenders and a Dyna fender. Pieced them together, got the look that I wanted. I had to do a little bit of massaging, no big deal. It's all come together nicely. Just a piece of angle aluminum. Put some speed holes in it, make it look good so it's not plain. Old style Fat Boy rear wheel, so I can just bolt a chain driven sprocket onto it. I mean, I dug in my toolbox and found some old lug nuts from a race car. That's actually what's keeping the bottles from sliding back. So, you know, these are just hose clamps, which I actually have rubber to go underneath them. These aren't cinched down, I'm just holding it on there for now. But keeps the inertia from actually pushing the bottle back. Whatnot. Just some of the stuff that, you know, I'd call it cheaped out on, but I mean, also the stuff that makes it cool. Made a little belt cover so I'm not getting my leg into the pulleys. Still working on painting up that pulley and stuff, and this outer open primary cover and brace for that matter. Still working on it. Probably gonna wind up painting that up just so it kind of flows with the bike a little bit better. Let's see. Got a clutch switch that I put on there, kind of, well, not prehistoric, but Neanderthalish for all intents and purposes. For my two-step and also for my shift light. So when I'm at a certain RPM, it'll actually light up the shift light while I'm holding the clutch in, so I know I'm where I'm supposed to be at. This is not intended to be like a strictly race bike by any means. It's just an 80 cubic inch, actually stock Harley Evo, rebuilt. Everybody's like, oh, you're gonna blow it up, you're gonna blow it up. Well, sometimes you gotta trial and error some stuff. You know, the motors were already bulletproof to begin with, and in my opinion, it should be able to handle anything under 10 pounds of them. They're just not out beating on it every day. Instrumentation. Let's see. Fuel pump, lights. Got them all on toggles. Cycles water through there, cool the air off if you're unfamiliar. Wasn't really worried about a radio, obviously. We got other dressers that ride around with a radio on it. Let's see, shut this stuff off. I actually have an air tank, and then I'm going to use for the air shifter that I put on here as well. I've got a ignition kill switch or whatever, so hit a button, kills the ignition, and engages the air shifter as well. Speedometer, I haven't worked it out yet on this display, but for now I've got, probably wind up running because I think it's kind of trick, cool, whatnot, but just an Amazon GPS speedo. It actually displays on the inside of the windshield. It's backwards normally, and then so it displays the way you can see it normally. So, let's take a look at some of the paint. A little bit more. Pretty wild. Like I said, just wanted something that's not going to be like anything else that's on the road. Buddy designed A lot of the stuff on the front end with Skull Wise and stuff like that, I did the sides. I'm not taking credit for him whatsoever, but I did come in and I added my own touches like the sides, the windshield, uh, the interfering, the fender that I got here. I actually found that in the middle of the road, cut it up, got another fender, cut that up, welded them together, so it's kind of like a bastard, just like the rear fender. Got some cool like World War II stylish plane fighter stuff going on. Actually, the oil tank, there wasn't room for it anymore because the air to water intercooler is there, so I actually got a aluminum catch can reservoir, whatever you want to call it. Mounted that on the front, right above the front chin spoiler. See, as far as the blower I was just talking about, on the front of it, actually I made this velocity stack out of a 4-inch exhaust tip, and then bought an actual velocity stack that is the same ID as the S&S carb that I have here, and I put them together. It's kind of an old thing. I haven't seen it done in a long time. And actually, my buddy pointed it out that it's been done before, but I didn't know about it, so I am not copying somebody, but just another idea bounced off my head. This is actually just another catch can. I was using it for fuel to fire this thing up and tinker with it, so that ain't gonna stay there. Made a brace for the air shifter that goes above the open primary. I mean, you can stand back and look at this thing for days. You're gonna pick out new things every time. I mean, I had to tell myself to stop. I was getting a little carried away between the paint and then adding stuff or whatever. This thing's literally like 10 pounds of crap in a 1 pound bag. I mean, it's very unique. I'm very happy on how it's turned out from when it started, because originally I wanted like a light to light little bobber style deal, and it just got drastically increased, or basically it got out of control. I ended up putting some aluminum mesh in the grill, painted that stuff up too. That's pretty different. I've never seen anybody else do that. Got a 23-inch front wheel that I bought off of eBay. Met a guy, got that. That was cheap. Also noting the paint and the fairing. I don't know how many people have actually noticed yet, but it's actually a road glide front fairing that I got off a buddy's bike. He'd wrecked his motorcycle, and then he ended up giving it to me. I was like, what the hell? I ain't got nothing to lose, and put it on here. Well, it's not stationary. I don't have a highway bar on here. It actually turns with the handlebars. As you can see. That also makes it unique. A 3-inch fork extensions on here, just to get the ride height that I really needed. I wish it could be lower just for look, but like I said, I'm going to ride this thing. I'm not trying to bottom out or rip crap off when I'm pulling into parking lots and stuff like that. Made my own exhaust out of a stock M8 exhaust. Cut the tubes. I mean, they already flow great, way more than this motor's ever going to need. But I figured it'd be perfect with the blower on there. Cut it off where the cat would have been. Welded another tip on. Actually made it custom on the exhaust tip here. This is coming out of that air to water intercooler. Intake charge piping comes in. And if you're wondering why the colors are different, not really sure. I wanted to get rid of the paint, and for some reason the elbows, they started turning like a gold bronzish color, where the bends that didn't have as much bend on them. They're just like a raw aluminum, which is, I don't know, kind of weird. I don't know if they use a different grade aluminum or whatever. They're making tighter bends or what. But got a electric fuel pump, and then so both these bottles are connected together so you can transfer fuel, which I figured out that if you have them hooked up together, it'll actually draw fuel out of both tanks and then start pumping in the return, which I want to return to keep the fuel cool, right? Well, it'll pump into one tank. So it'll start overflowing to one tank. And I'm sure you can pick up when I'm laying down here on what happens. It'll start overflowing, and not a good time. Turns into a slight panic for a second. But this is what I got and I wanted to share. Appreciate any comments, and if you could share this around, it'd be nice to actually get a name out there for myself and maybe do some other work like this. Kind of spread my wings instead of going out to my regular everyday average Joe job.